Welcome to this explainer. So, have you ever poured just so much of your soul into a project that you literally couldn't let it go? You know the feeling. You tweak it, you adjust this one tiny thing, you obsess over every single detail, until suddenly, all the joy is completely drained out of it. Well, today, we're going to dive into an ancient cosmic myth that actually perfectly diagnoses this modern creative struggle. It's an endless cycle of overthinking, and it's called the Brahma complex.
To really figure out what happens when a creator gets obsessed with their own creation, we need to look way back at a Puranic story from ancient texts. Picture the cosmic creator, Lord Brahma. According to the myth, Brahma wanted to expand the universe, right? To generate all these diverse life forms. So using his own concentrated divine energy and intellect, he manifests this female form, and she possesses absolutely unparalleled beauty, grace, and wisdom.
Her name was Shatarupa, which translates to She of 100 Beautiful Forms. Now, in some regional retellings, she's also known as Saraswati. And man, as soon as she stood before him, Brahma was instantly captivated. I mean, she was absolutely perfect. But here's the catch. Because she was born directly from his substance, Shatarupa basically looked at Brahma as her father and creator. She could feel his intense, super possessive gaze on her, and it made her incredibly uncomfortable. So naturally, she tries to step out of his line of sight, just trying to maintain a respectful distance.
Now, what happens next is just a brilliant visualization of panic and control. When she moved to his right to escape him, Brahma frantically sprouted his second head facing right just so he could keep looking at her. She darts to his left, and boom, a third head appears on his left. She steps behind his back, a fourth head materializes facing backward. Finally, in this desperate attempt to flee his possessive gaze, she literally transforms into a bird and soars up into the heavens. But, refusing to let go, Brahma manifests a fifth head right on top of the others, staring straight up into the sky.
Appalled by this absolute lack of boundaries, Shatarupa was furious. Totally enraged. She declared that because Brahma let his raw passion and desire for possession completely overpower his divine intellect, he had fallen from cosmic purity. And she cursed him. She hit him with these incredibly powerful words. "No mortal on earth shall ever build temples for you, nor shall you receive ritual worship." His obsession literally cost him his glory.
Right at that exact moment, the cosmic order had to be restored. Enter Lord Shiva, who manifested in his fierce form known as Bhairava. Witnessing Brahma's obsessive behavior, Shiva declared it a major violation of cosmic order, or dharma. So, to break Brahma's ego, Bhairava swung his sword and just completely severed Brahma's fifth upward-staring head, enforcing Shatarupa's curse across the entire material realm.
Now here is where it gets really interesting for us today, because if we strip away all the mythological imagery, the cosmic gods, the multi-headed deities, the ancient weapons, this is actually a brilliant diagnostic tool for your own brain. It's literally a mirror reflecting exactly what we do when we sit down at our desks to create something new.
We're actually looking at a profound psychological framework called the Brahma complex. This Vedic allegory exposes the ultimate trap of the creative ego. It shows us, step by step, how our own obsessions and our absolute refusal to let things go ultimately destroy the exact inspiration we're trying so desperately to capture.
Let's break this down into parts. Part 1. The creator versus the idea. So if we map this myth out to our modern lives, Brahma is you. You're the artist, the intellect, the innovator. And Shatarupa, well, she represents your brilliant new idea. Maybe it's a startup concept or an art project, whatever it is for you. You conceive something beautiful. But instead of letting that idea exist freely out in the world, your ego steps in. You try to own it, hoard it, micromanage it, and the very moment you do that, boom, you trigger the curse. You initiate your own creative stagnation.
Which brings us to part 2, the prison of hyperfixation.
Just like Brahma sprouting all those heads to track Shatarupa, our minds frantically turn in every single direction. The manifestation of those multiple heads, that perfectly represents our modern sensory overload and this frantic, exhausting need for control. We look left, right, backward, and upward, trying to anticipate every single critique, manage every tiny variable, and predict every possible failure. This hyperfixation just completely fractures our focus. That overstimulated intellect loses all its inner peace, simply because it's so desperate to possess the outcome.
Moving on to part 3, the death of creative skill.
Think back to Shatarupa running away as a bird. That perfectly symbolizes the fact that true creativity simply cannot be caged. When you attach your entire identity to one single project, you freeze your creative energy.
The moment your creation stops being this wonderful gift you release to the world and instead becomes this fragile, highly guarded extension of your own ego, well, you're trapped. You initiate your own spiritual stagnation.
You know, inspiration is a lot like water. It absolutely has to flow to stay fresh. A possessive, hyper-attached mind might still technically build things, sure, but it becomes spiritually dead. It builds without any real joy. Why? Because your mind is way too busy guarding and hoarding that last idea to ever be open enough to receive the next flash of inspiration. The liberated mind, on the other hand, just lets the water flow, always ready for whatever comes next.
And finally, part 4, the radical act of detachment.
Okay, so how do we actually fix this? We all need what we can call a Shiva moment. Remember Shiva manifesting as Bhairava with that giant sword. In our own lives, this is that sudden, sharp realization that just cuts entirely through our overthinking. It's a forceful, decisive action that completely shuts down the arrogant, nervous chatter of the ego.
We achieve this Shiva moment through a practice of radical mindfulness. Step 1, you have to recognize that your ego is overactive. You have to literally notice that you're sprouting extra heads. Then, step 2, you forcefully shut down that overthinking. By stepping back and taking a deep breath, you symbolically sever that desperate fifth head. You slay the overactive ego so that your true, quiet self can actually breathe again.
In our modern world, decapitating that fifth head is the exact psychological equivalent of simply hitting publish. It's shipping the product. It's hanging the painting on the wall. It's walking away from the obsession and trusting that the creation is allowed to exist without your constant, suffocating supervision. You just have to let it fly away.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. I want you to take a step back right now and look closely at your own work. Which of your projects are you currently hoarding? Where are you holding on just a little too tight, sprouting that frantic fifth head of overthinking? And most importantly, what is it going to take for you to finally pick up the sword, hit publish, and let it go?